bien. Y vamos a grabar. Buenos días, ¿cómo están? ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Bien?
Muy bien.
Bien,
Bien,
bien.
Muy
Bien.
bien.
¿Y tú?
muy bien.
Muy bien. Ah,
Muy
bien.
bien, gracias.
Aquí, todo bien. Todo bien aquí. Todo bien. Estoy bien, gracias. Ah, estamos aquí para la cuarta lección. We're here for the fourth lesson. Sí, es la cuarta. It's the fourth lesson. Today we're going to focus on only a little bit with pronunciation because they're kind of some cleanup shorty issues, okay? And then we're going to see more examples because the only way to really absorb this and get used to it is to see tons and tons and tons of examples. See more and more examples of all these words that are used where we in English will say I am or you are or he is. Okay, so it's going to be again kind of reinforcing that thing of what situations do we use ser to be in? What situations do we use estar to be in? And we're going to fold in more with that idea of I. And I hope I get a little bit of time for that verb tener. I've developed a little slide set that's going to combine just what all those verb forms are so you can have it kind of handy and available quickly. But lots of examples. And numbers, números. Numbers are a survival skill vocabulary set. And so we're going to do a lot with numbers today. Um, and we'll see exactly how far we get with that. We're going to combine numbers with that verb IE quite a lot as well. So, okay. Adelante, moving on. And always feel free to interrupt. I want to make sure I make my screen nice and large to share it. We're going to take our shorty pronunciation issues today. Okay, always remember that our vowels are the core. Man, that core, can't emphasize it enough that, English has so many different pronunciations for vowels, and in Spanish it only goes to one. So the key thing is always make sure that that a, e, o, u, that those are super, super clear. Because when you make sure you're consistent with those vowels and you speak to someone, they will understand you. Okay. You start swapping out like English sounds for those vowels in Spanish, and then that's when it's hard for people to understand you. And also, it just goes a long way for you understanding the spoken word. Okay. The very first skill that people naturally learn, okay, is listening. Listening comprehension is king. There's no way to change the way the human brain absorbs language. And listening, understanding what people say to you, is the first skill that comes and gets locked in with your brain first. Okay. Um, we're going to take cleanup. Here's our cleanup. You learned that uh, la letra U, the letter U, makes this sound like azul, cumbre, pluma, gusto, flauta, luna, sur, burro, cubre, puro, sutil, cuesta, nube, cuando. And it does always sound like except a few little exceptions. So this is why it's cleanup, because there are some exceptions. And the exceptions are easy to know because they always come in a certain combination. So here's our first combination when will stand there but will become silent. Okay. And it's got to be these letters connected together. Q-U-E, Q-U-E, Q-U-E and Q-U-I. That combination, when you see a Q-U-E, and there are a lot of words that do that, or Q-U-I, there the U will be silent. Okay, so Q-U-E, when those are combined, it will not sound like Q-E. it'll be the U silent. Que.
Que.
You'll pronounce the the smiley
Que.
but not the U. Que.
Okay.
All right. And the que sound comes up in a lot of question-oriented words and, well, other stuff, just other stuff. And therefore, QUI will do the same thing. And it's because of that letter Q. I think it goes back to a thing with Latin, but, well, a quien le importa, who cares? So instead of QI, no, it won't be QI. It'll be ki. Ki. All right. So it has to be these specific combinations. Que, ki. Que,
Que.
key.
Ki.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's some keywords that use that and our word for what? Que. Muy
Que.
importante. This is a survival word. You have to be able to use the word que, right? What is it is que es. Yeah, que es. Que es. Que. But it'll sound like it'll all string together. Que es. Yeah, what is it? Que es. Que. What? Que? And you'll notice it gets an accent mark there. Sometimes que does not get an accent mark. It gets an accent mark because it is a question word. All question words, which the fancy grammar term for that is interrogatives. All interrogatives, when they're used in a question, get an accent mark. When you say it, the accent mark kind of doesn't matter because, it's only when you see it in writing. Okay. All right. The next one is also a question word. ¿Quién?
Quien.
¿Quién is the word for
¿Quién?
who?
Yeah.
¿Quién?
Yeah.
¿Quién
¿Quién?
es? Who is it? ¿Quién es? Somebody
¿Quién
asks, who are you? Because they're looking at like a list of people on a tour group. ¿Quién eres? Who are you? ¿Quién es usted? Yeah. ¿Quién es usted? ¿Quién eres? Who are you? ¿Quién? ¿Quién? Okay, muy importantes, very important. ¿Qué? Otra vez, ¿qué? Repitan, por favor. ¿Qué?
Que.
Que.
¿Quién?
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 Sí. And you'll notice when you hear quién, what you hear is the ie. ¿Quién? ¿Quién? Okay,
¿Quién?
vale. Bien. Here's another question word, although it combines two words together, the word for why. ¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
¿Por
¿Por
qué?
qué?
Eh,
¿Por qué?
¿Por
Why?
qué?
¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Okay. And here are some words that you will hear a lot. This is a common word. We'll see this later on today. The word for 15 has a QUI combo. Quince.
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 Quince. The combination for the word that means I want. Quiero.
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 See?
Quiero.
Quiero.
Quiero, when you want to say I want something, always combine it with por favor, please. Quiero agua, por favor.
Mhm.
See? Quiero, and then you insert the thing. Quiero agua, por favor. Quiero una Coca-Cola, por favor. Yeah, en un restaurante. Quiero una cerveza, por favor. I want a beer, please. Quiero una cerveza, por favor. Okay, so quiero.
Yeah.
Here's another que combination. The word for cheese. Wow, a common thing. Queso.
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 Queso. Here's a word that means not five, but fifth, like in order. Okay, it's an order number, not a counting number, but an order number, right? Quinto.
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 Right?
Quinto.
We have 15, quince, and then we have quinto, fifth, like fifth in line. See? And here's another word that has a que combination. Paquete.
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 Paquete. Okay, bien? So, que. And another combination with you where the you will go silent. That's why it's clean up. It's not like as essential as the a, e, I, o, u, but good to know. QUE, QUI, the U stands silent. Also, these combinations, the U stands silent. G-U-E, G-U-I. Okay, and U there has a job. Its job is to make the G go into the hard g, g, g mode instead of the h, h, h mode. Yeah. So the U stands there to make the G go into the hard G sound. Okay. Here we go. G-U-E, guerra.
Guerra.
Guerra. Yeah.
Guerra.
Yeah. War. The word for
Guerra.
war. The word for war sounds aggressive, doesn't it? Guerra.
Guerra.
Guerra. Guerra. La
Guerra.
guerra. La guerra. Guerra. Okay. Here's the word that means, hey, pay up. Pague.
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 Pagué.
Pague, por favor. Yeah, pay up, please. Yeah.
Pague.
Okay. Here's a GUI sound. Guia.
Guía.
Guia.
Guía.
Guia.
Guia is a guide. It can be a printed guide or a person who is giving a tour, that kind of guide. See, guia. El guia, la guia. Okay. Uh, Here is a command. It's saying, hey, get here. Yeah. Llegue. Llegue.
Llegue.
Llegue.
Llegue.
Okay. So these are all examples that have the GUE, GUI. Here's another word that is a command, and it means when somebody wants you to fall in line and get behind me and keep going. Keep going. Here's the keep going word. Sigue.
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 This is a word you'll hear when people are giving you directions. Yeah.
Okay.
If they say, keep going straight, yeah, like don't make a turn, keep going straight, sigue derecho. Sigue with the word derecho. Derecho means straight ahead. Sigue, yeah. Sigue 4 cuadras, go 4 more blocks. Sigue 2 cuadras, go 2 blocks. Sigue derecho, go straight ahead, yeah. Sigue means keep going or get in line behind me and follow along. Yeah. One of those two. Sigue, sigue. All right. And sometimes if people are calling for the next thing up or calling for the next thing to do, siguiente, siguiente,
Siguiente.
siguiente. Yeah. Yeah.
Siguiente.
Okay, so examples of GUE and GUI combinations. Once in a while, just so you know, but there aren't that many words that do this. There are only a few. If you see a GUE or a GUI with the little double dot, which in German they call an umlaut, but it's a diéresis in Spanish, that GUE and GUI means, hey, I know it's supposed to stand silent, but you know what? You're going to go ahead and pronounce the U this time. And it's only a few words, so you don't need to practice a lot of them. There are only a few words that do that, but some interesting words that do it. Pinguino. Pinguino.
Pinguino.
We lied. You do pronounce the U here. Pinguino. Here's the word for shame. Vergüenza.
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 Vergüenza is a word that you sometimes hear
Vergüenza.
when somebody is embarrassed. Ay, qué, what? What embarrassment? Qué vergüenza. Qué vergüenza. Vergüenza.
Vergüenza. Qué vergüenza.
Here is a slangy word that you sometimes hear in Mexico, and it's kind of almost a slang for gringo. It literally means blonde person. But it's kind of used to refer to people from the US sometimes, especially foreign people. Güero.
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 Güero. Okay.
Güero.
So there are our odd kind of cleanup words. Did I have any else here? I think. Okay. 2 other little cleanup letters too, but they won't take long. This word letter X, X, X. X actually gets, especially in Mexico, lots of different pronunciations in Mexico because in Mexican variety of Spanish, X may be a word that comes from an indigenous language that was adopted into Spanish, especially for like geographical names, because it came from an old indigenous, meaning not Spanish, but the tribal people who lived in Mexico before the Spaniards came. Yeah. So X you'll hear with many different pronunciations, like sometimes a sh. Sometimes even Mexicans get confused with, ooh, how do I pronounce this X? Because if it's a geographical name, they kind of sit and think about it for a while, sometimes, okay? But know that there are two usual pronunciations for X, okay? If you take it beyond the indigenous stuff. And that is for geographical places where an X is somewhere in the middle, it'll generally be a sound because it originally used to be that letter J, the jota, which makes the sound, and it flipped over to be spelled with a different letter as time went on. Okay. So in colonial times, for example, Mexico used to be spelled with a J. And then for some reason it changed to an X. Do you care why? No. But you want to know how to say that, right? Mexico. Mexico. It'll have a sound. Mexico.
Mexico.
Even our state, but Texas.
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 Mexico. Texas.
Mexico.
Okay.
Mexico. Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Geographical things, it's safe to go with that. But a lot of times you're going to have X as an EX that leads off a word. Okay. A lot of words in Spanish start with an EX. These come straight from Latin. Okay. And then it'll sound like it does in English, basically. Okay. So you get words like experto.
Experto.
Experto. Yeah. Not a anymore. Okay. This is not geographical. Came in from Latin. Experto.
Exacto.
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 Yeah. Exacto. Yeah, exactly. The word for somebody who is not from Mexico, is not from Latin America. A foreigner, the word for foreigner, or just abroad. Extranjero.
Extranjero.
Extranjero is kind of a long word. Es
Extranjero.
importante. It's an important word. Extranjero. ¿Sí?
Extranjero.
Yeah.
Viajo al extranjero, abroad, right? Ese hombre es extranjero. That guy is a foreigner. Extranjero. Okay? Extranjero. So there you go. There's our little cleanup. Here's our very last cleanup. La letra Z. This letter Z. The name for the letter Z is Zeta. 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 Okay? Zeta. Zeta will sound not, it will not get the buzz sound that we give it in English. So just keep that in mind. Okay? It'll stay with a plain old S sound. Okay? So, and it's very hard for us to do because your brain desperately wants to make it a buzz. Your brain, without you even thinking about it, will want to make this a zzz when all it needs to be is a s. Okay? So here is what these words will sound like. Lápiz.
Lápiz.
Lápiz. Lápiz. Okay?
Lápiz.
Lápiz. Zorro.
Zorro.
Relax. Ooh, here's a common thing. You know, if the lights don't work in your hotel room, luz.
Luz.
Luz. Luz. Here's a word that means cross, really like a religious symbol, or also a crossing. The word for to cross is cruzar, cruz. Cruz, right? Actually, I'm going to change this to cruzar because really that means to cross, and you'll hear it as cruzar, like to cross the street more often than the other cruz. And the word for left, like a direction, right? If somebody tells you turn left, it'll be this word, izquierda.
Izquierda.
Izquierda. Wow, look at all the
Izquierda.
look, it combines a Q-U-I. Wow, Q-U-I-E. Izquierda.
Izquierda.
Izquierda. And here
Yes.
comes that shame word. Boy, that sounds bad, doesn't it? Vergüenza is like saying, you're mortified. Que vergüenza. Vergüenza.
Vergüenza.
Vergüenza.
Vergüenza.
Yeah. So just remember, zeta, Z, no buzz. Okay. Footnote, tiny footnote. In Spain, this Z gets a different pronunciation. In Spain, Z will sound like TH. So whereas everybody says lápiz, it'll be lápiz. Lápiz. Yeah. It'll be zorro. It'll be luz. It'll be cruzar. It'll be izquierda. Vergüenza. Yeah. So the Spaniards do the thing for Z. The Spaniards also, oddly, do the thing here for CEI, or sorry, CE and CI. So that's why sometimes when you hear in a video them pronouncing this, it'll be like us adjusting to British English, you know? I have some friends from Great Britain, and I need to think for my brain does a pause sometimes when I listen to them speak when they come because I have to think a different way. So this will sound like cero instead of cero, yeah, centro instead of centro, uh, uh, cita instead of cita, yeah, bici instead of bici. Yeah. So just know there's a little pronunciation twist only for Spaniards, but if you're learning Latin American English, you won't hear that. Okay. So zeta, no buzz, just an S, and then you're good to go. See? Bien? Okay?
Yes.
Vale. So generally in Spanish, what you see written down is the way it sounds, except for these little cleanup things we talked about, which are kind of oddball things here and there. Still way easier than English, right? Very hard to explain why COUGH is cough with an F, right? But through, THROUGH is through. Yeah, English has weird spellings. So Spanish is easier. Okay, es más fácil. Bien. We're going to see lots of examples today. And the examples are because whereas English only uses I am, you are, he is, we are, they are, Spanish will plug in different kinds of verbs entirely. And then those verbs often go into different things called conjugations. So that's why it's so blankety blank hard. If you think, well, this is hard. Why do we just say am, is, are, and they use a bunch of different verbs? Because they do. The answer is just because they do. That's the way it is. Yeah. And you need to rewire your brain to think differently. And it's a hard thing to do. But this is going to be your quickie reference for just the verb forms. And these are things where we're going to see a lot of examples today. We're going to hear examples and see examples because the only way to really get this straight is lots and lots of repetition with lots and lots of examples. You can say, can't I just memorize it? But yeah, you can, but not everybody has good time, has an easy go of it, just memorizing. So here we go. Here's your quick reference. Quick reference. I'm going to send this in the email after class. Sometimes even the verb tener, which doesn't technically mean am, is, are, is used in these situations. But here are the three big ones you're going to hear a lot. Ser, forms of ser, versus forms of estar, versus hay, and there it's just that I. So this is just your reference to remind you. Why do I get that out? Okay. To remind you what the forms of each verb are. Ser, soy, soy,
Soy.
Soy,
es,
eres,
Eres,
es,
es,
meaning you're talking about somebody else, but only one person. Es, right?
es,
Somos.
somos,
It means I am not by myself. It means I have people with me, right? I'm in a group. Somos, we are, right? Sois, we're going to skip over. That's only in Spain. They are son,
Son.
son. Or the plural, you guys. Yeah, ustedes, son. Okay. So those are all the forms of ser. But sometimes to say am is are, we'll use this verb estar, right? Estar. So here's just your quick reference so you know, have it really at hand in a handy way, all the forms. Estar goes into these different forms depending on who we're talking about. Estoy,
Estoy,
Estoy.
I am.
estoy,
Estás,
Estás.
yeah, estás. You have to have the S at the end. Estás, right?
Estás.
And S at the end, the reason that's in blue is that two verbs, verbs that talk about tú doing the action, always have an S at the end. They do. You can count on it, right? Está.
está,
Estás.
Talk about one person. Está.
está,
está,
¿Sí? Bien. Estamos.
Estamos.
This is the we form, estamos, right? Here's the they form, están.
Están.
Están. Yeah, see? Bien. Okay. And you'll notice that the they form always gets an N at the end. It just, all verbs will do this. Yeah. Verbs that talk about like they are running or they are working or they are eating. Yeah, it'll get an N at the end, right? The we verbs will always get a mos at the end. The tu verb will always get an S at the end. This yo one, we leave for later because this is a total irregular, just as soy is a total irregular. See? Bien? Okay, vale. So we've got ser, we've got estar. I'll send this whole thing to you. Bien. I need to move this up. Ah, I'll get these in the right order. Oh, I can't move them because I'm in share mode. Okay. And then there's this golden one. This is a golden word because it has an is part. It has, or it can mean an are part, but we attach the idea of there. Yeah. And this verb is I.
Ay.
hay,
Unlike ser and estar, I is already a conjugated verb. It is something we call an impersonal verb because it's not keyed into yo and nosotros and él or ella or ellos or ellas or usted. It's not keyed into that. It's always I. Therefore, it is impersonal. It's not connected to any one person. Yeah. And you use I all the time. It never changes to those other different forms. And it is used to say that something just, it's out there. It's used to talk about existence. Okay. Existence. See? Yeah. Okay. We're going to focus on those three. Just so you know, there is yet another slide on this set when you get it in the email, and it will be this. These are newer verbs. And really, this verb technically does not at all mean am, is, are. Tener means to have. Okay, to have. And literally, it talks about you possess something. Yeah. Okay. So you might say, why are we looking at this verb now? I thought we're on am, is, are. Yes, but for certain expressions, and it's a finite set number of expressions, they will use the verb have. Okay. Like, I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I'm sleepy. I'm in a hurry. Uh, I'm 60 years old. Those certain expressions don't use am, is, are. They use have. And they just do. And you just have to accept that's the way it is. Okay? Because whereas in English we say I am hungry, Spanish uses the idea of I have hunger or I have thirst or I have a certain number of years. Okay? And that's just the way they say it. And you just have to say, well, that's the way it is. So we're just going to quickly preview, but not focus a whole lot today on these. But here's how they will sound. The yo form will become tengo.
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 Tengo. Yeah. The tu form will get an S at the end. Aha. Tienes.
Tiene.
Tienes.
Tienes. Tienes.
Tienes.
And you'll see in that tengo form, going back to the yo form, that for a lot of verbs in Spanish, means yo. Yeah. It doesn't with soy and it doesn't with estoy, but with this verb tengo, it does. Means it's talking about myself. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Tengo, tienes. Now here comes the he or she has. Tiene,
Tiene.
Tiene.
tiene. Okay. Here comes the we form and it gets a mos at the end. Tenemos.
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 Tenemos, right? Tenéis vosotros the same, but we're not going to focus on that. And here comes the they form, and it gets an N at the end. Okay, just like están and son, it's tienen.
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 Tiene.
Okay. So, por ejemplo, for example, if you're thirsty, because here's a survival thing, sometimes, you got to hydrate. And you could be like in trouble if you don't hydrate. And yeah. Tengo sed. Tengo sed. I have thirst. Tengo sed. Right? Or somebody asks, are you thirsty? ¿Tienes sed? ¿Tienes sed? Yeah. You know your husband's going to go down if he doesn't get that extra bottle of water. Oh my God, get him some water. See? Tienes sed. Tienes sed. He's thirsty. Tienes sed. Sed. See? Ellos tienen sed. So have, yeah. And with years, to say that you're a certain age, when you name the number of years old you are, they use this. Tengo 60 años. It's what they use. So just know that tener will come into play, right? But we're going to talk more about, you're going to hear lots of examples right now. Yeah, that tener was just a preview. We're going to see lots of examples with I, lots of examples with forms of estar, and lots of examples with forms of ser. Okay, we're going to see a little video and I'll stop in the middle of it to show because you need to see examples. Okay, a ver, adelante. Let's move forward. I need to turn on my sound. And you'll get the link to this so you can play it like a bunch of other times to hear it. There's some kind of silly dancing in there, but it's to entertain people. Okay. El hombre con la chaqueta roja, the guy with the red jacket. ¿Sí? ¿Pueden ver? Can you see? See?
Sí.
Okay. He's going to tell who he is. Identity is ser. He's going to tell where he is on vacation. And he's going to show you examples of ser, forms of it, estar, forms of it, and I. Only that one word, I.
Soy Sergi Martín y estoy de vacaciones en la República Checa. Hoy va...
I am, identify, soy, and then his name. Estoy de vacaciones. I'm on vacation.
Vacation.
It's kind of a general location, not location like I'm a certain. Estoy de vacaciones en la República Checa. I'm on vacation in Czech Republic. And we're going to learn what he says next is today we're going to learn. Hoy vamos a aprender.
Vamos a aprender cómo describir una ciudad usando 3 verbos muy importantes.
We're going to learn how to describe a city, una ciudad, using 3 verbs, usando 3 verbos importantes, using 3 important verbs.
Haber, ser y estar.
Now, the reason he has haber there is that verb hay, which I told you the only thing you're going to use is hay comes from haber. Haber is the root form, which we call an infinitive, okay? Haber is used in a lot of structures in Spanish, but the only one that's important for you to know right now is that hay comes from haber, okay? Okay, the silly dancing, ignore me.
Podemos describir la ciudad donde
Oh, and I'm going to take my...
estoy ahora, Hradec Králové.
I can describe where I am now, donde estoy. For how you feel or where you are, always use the verb estar when you talk about location. Estar is what you want to use.
De una forma muy sencilla. En Hradec Králové hay iglesias.
Now, notice, he's not saying I'm in a church. He's saying this stuff is just around. Hay iglesias. There are churches. En Hradec, en la ciudad, in the city. Hay iglesias. Hay iglesias. There are churches around. Why is this useful? Because when you travel, a lot of times you want to know, is there a pharmacy around here? Oh, your hotel got canceled out for some reason. Are there other hotels around? Yeah. You want to know, is there a place to buy stamps because you're sending postcards? Yeah. You want to know, where's the subway? Yeah. Is there a subway entrance someplace around here? When you want to know something is around, exists, hay is a great word. Hay iglesias. There are churches.
Hay hoteles y restaurantes.
There are hotels and restaurants around here. Hay hoteles y restaurantes. Hay hoteles. There are hotels and restaurants. We're just saying they exist. They're around. Okay?
Hay farmacias.
There are drugstores. Survival.
Hay museos.
There are museums.
Usamos hay del verbo haber para hablar de la existencia de cosas.
We use hay to talk about the existence of things.
Hradec Králové no es muy famosa, pero es
Now you're going to hear a lot of es, and he's talking about the city. No es famosa, it's not famous, pero es interesante.
But it's interesting.
Interesting. And we're talking about characteristics. You're going to hear es used to talk about characteristics of the city.
Es interesante. Es una ciudad histórica.
Telling what it is, we're identifying as. It's an historic city. Es una ciudad histórica. Es una ciudad histórica.
Ciudad.
It's an historic city. It's a description, but it's identifying. Yeah, see?
Y es bastante bonita.
Es bastante bonita. It's quite pretty. Bastante is quite. Bonita, pretty. Es bastante bonita. It's quite pretty. I'm identifying a characteristic, just what it is like.
Usamos es del verbo ser para describir las cosas.
We use es to describe things, but I'm going to caveat warning. We use es to describe with descriptions. It is something. When it's a description that it's an identifier, something that's not easily changeable, you know? Es importante, it's important. Es único, it's unique. Yeah. Something doesn't really stop being unique, does it? Es rojo, it's red. Es azul, it's blue. Es Es caro. It's expensive. Yeah. So characteristics, es grande. It's big. Okay. Bien. Now we're going to look at está. Está also is, but in a different context.
La iglesia está en la plaza.
La iglesia está en la plaza. La iglesia, the church. La iglesia está en la plaza. It's in the plaza. It's in the square. Town square. Plaza is a town square. Okay. Now we're going to talk about location. Okay. Location is not descriptions. Location uses estar. Está en la plaza,
Que está en el centro de la ciudad.
que está en el centro de la ciudad, which is in the center of the city. It's in the downtown area of the city. Está en el centro. And notice, está en. Clave, really important, key thing. Está en. En means in or on or at, but it talks about location. Yeah, that little en word. Está en, está en. Está en la plaza, está en el centro. Location, location, estar. ¿Ok? Bien.
Usamos está del verbo estar para localizar las cosas.
To put a pin in a place, yeah? To put it in a place. To
So
locate things.
cosas are things.
We can use it to talk about people or things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Ok, por ejemplo, buen ejemplo. Mi esposo, my husband, mi esposo está en la oficina. Está en la oficina. Mi esposo está en la oficina. Mi esposo es ingeniero de software. If I switch to talk about putting an ID tag, what he does, yeah, es ingeniero de software. He's a software engineer. Está en la oficina talks about where he is. Where he is might be temporary, might be permanent, but it's where he is. Where he is always está. Yeah. Who he is, what he does as a job, what he looks like, that's always es. Bien?
Sí.
Okay. A little bit more, un poquito más.
En la República Checa hay una ciudad que es bastante interesante y que está en el este del país.
Look, three different things. These are all talking about city. Hay una ciudad, and I need to move my little, ay, tengo que mover esto. Hay una ciudad, there's a city, que es interesante, which is interesting, que está en el este del país, which is in the east part of the country. And east part of the country is a location. It's kind of vague, but it's location, okay? Que está en el este. Bien? So we've got existence, there's a city, what it's like, es interesante, description, hard to change. Yeah, it's just what it is, identifying this characteristic. And está en el este, a location. Okay. Okay. A ver.
¿Y tú? ¿Cómo describes tu ciudad? Puedes compartirlo.
Okay. Bien. So, bien. That gives you an idea of some examples in a little video with talking about a city. Okay. But of course, those verbs can also talk about people. Yeah. Objects, stuff like, yeah, what I used to call people, right? Can be used about what I use to write down information. See? Bien. Can be used for something I used to talk about what I put on my hands. It could be, right? All these verbs can be used to talk about things or people, yeah, in lots of different ways. So we're going to go back and look at some more examples, and we're going to blend in some more of our family vocabulary that you had from your book with this. Okay. Más ejemplos, because examples are the way you're going to, the more examples you see, it'll like eventually it sounds right. You need to hear examples. Your brain is so wired to whatever language you were born and grew up speaking. It is so keyed in that your brain is literally wired to think a certain way. And when we do a new language, we have to rewire and stick the wires in different places in our brains. It is not like, it is literally what has to happen. In order for that to happen, the average person needs to hear about 50 examples of how that is done before your brain starts to click and rewire. You may need 100 repetitions. You may need only 10. Congratulations. You're pretty smart. Your brain is a little more adaptable. Okay. But just know there is a range, but you need those examples. Okay. Ejemplos. We're going to take a look at, and I'm going to actually add in a couple other examples, probably. ¿Cuántas personas hay? How many people are there? I just want to know that they exist. I'm just talking about they're there somewhere. Yeah, they exist. ¿Cuántas? How many? ¿Cuántas personas? How many people? ¿Cuántas personas hay? How many people are there? ¿Cuántas personas hay en la familia real? How many people are in the royal family?
9 personas.
Ah, bien. Hay, and then we stick in a number. Hay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sí, 9. Hay 9 personas. Hay 9 personas. Yeah. En la foto, in the photo. Of course, there are more because now there are more kids added into this, but okay. Sí, hay 9 personas. Kate, and now I'm going to talk about who she is, not that she's just out there. Kate es la esposa de William. Kate es la esposa de William. Who she, name tag, ID. Es. Kate es la esposa de William, ¿sí? William es el hijo de Charles. William es el hijo. Es el hijo. He's the son.
El hijo.
¿Sí?
Es el
Bien.
hijo.
George, Charlotte y Louis son los hijos de Kate y William. George, Charlotte y Louis, o Louis, ¿cómo se pronuncia? Son los hijos de Kate y William. They're the children of.
Les
Okay.
hijos.
We don't have an apostrophe S. Kate and William's kids doesn't exist in Spanish. It has to be the children of Kate and William. Okay. So any time you need the idea of apostrophe S, my husband's office, la oficina de mi esposo, right? See, my friend's coffee. Oh, this is my friend's cup of coffee. Es la taza de café de mi amigo. See, no apostrophe S. So, friend's kids or Kate's kids, los hijos de Kate, los hijos de Kate. That's the way it goes. Okay. Charles es el abuelo. Charles es el abuelo. El
Charles
abuelo.
es el abuelo.
Sí, es el abuelo. He's the grandpa.
Es la abuela.
I'm just talking about his ID, right? I'm identifying. That's why it's ser. I can never say Charles está el abuelo. If you use está, people will look at you and that does not make sense to them. Está talks about a location or how somebody feels. Yeah. To identify who they are, I can only use es there. Charles es el abuelo, ¿sí? Camila es la abuela de los nietos. George, Charlotte y Louis, ¿sí? Camila es la abuela de los nietos. Los nietos, grandkids. Los nietos, grandkids. ¿Sí? Ok. Bueno, esposa, wife. Esposo with an O on the end, husband, right? Hijo, son. Hija with an A on the end, daughter. Yeah, see? Hijos, kids, all of them, children, boys and girls, mixed, right? If you see it in the feminine form, hijas with an AS and AS, it has to be only female daughters. Yeah, can't be any boys in the group. Hijos, see? Abuelo, grandpa. Abuela, grandmother. Nietos, grandkids. Nietos.
Nietos.
Nietos, sí, nietos. Okay? Vale. Bien. Let's look at somebody else. Kind of hard to find famous families that don't have like some weird Kardashian vibe going to it. So, apologies. Some of these are kind of old. ¿Cuántas personas hay? How many people are there? ¿Cuántas personas hay? En la familia Beckham es el futbolista. He's the soccer guy, muy famoso, sí, muy famoso.
Hay
Beckham.
5 personas.
Hay 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sí, sí, hay 5 personas, hay 5 personas, hay 5 personas. David David es el esposo, es el padre. David es el padre,
Sí.
Ujú,
¿sí? Victoria es la madre.
ujú.
Victoria es la madre. Brooklyn, Romeo, sí, Romeo y Harper son los hijos. Son los hijos.
Sí.
Son los hijos. ¿Ok? I could say son los hijos. Son hijos pequeños. They are young children. They are little children. ¿Sí? ¿Ok?
You could say
Ah,
la famille están en California.
I could say están en California, they're in California. Están en Inglaterra, they're in England, right? If I talk about where they are, then I switch to estar, right? Yeah. Uh, if I want to talk about how they feel, what's that one? Oh, they're excited because they're at a photo shoot. They're on a red carpet thing. They're all excited. Están emocionados. Están emocionados. They're excited.
Nados.
Because how you feel or where you are, that's estar. Okay? Bien? Vale.
Yeah.
Let's switch to some different examples. Otros ejemplos. Uy, ¿dónde está? Where'd my tab go? Bye. Aquí. Ok, perfecto. Momentito, quick moment. Let's look at this. Muchos ejemplos. Una persona muy famosa. Sí, se llama Simone Biles. Sí. I'm going to talk about who she is. I can't use estar. Es gimnasta. She's a,
Gymnast.
that's what
Gymnast.
she does. It identifies her. Es gimnasta, see? I'm also going to identify her by telling something else about what she does, who she is. Es campeona olímpica. Es campeona olímpica. She's
Olympic champion.
Olympian.
an Olympic champion.
Champion.
Yeah, campeona is champion. See? Now I'm going to talk about how she feels.
Ujú,
She won a bunch of medals.
ujú.
Está emocionada de ganar medallas. She's excited to have won a bunch of medals. Está emocionada. How you feel or where you are, always use the verb estar. Okay? Now I'm going to talk about something that identifies her with a description. But it's a description of what she's like all the time. Not an emotion, not health, but, ooh, you look like this. Yeah.
Mhm.
Es baja, es
Short
baja,
short,
short, y musculosa.
and
Muscular.
muscular.
Sí. These are descriptions that are part of physically what she is like.
Mhm.
Okay. We can use them for personality characteristics, right? Emocionada, excited, is not a personality, it's a feeling that can change. You're excited, you're bored. Yeah. You're depressed. Those are changing feelings, but yeah, personality traits are what you're generally like. Oh, now I'm going to switch to a tener because she has a certain color of this stuff, el pelo. Tiene el
Black
pelo.
hair
She has
and
hair
brown
that's
eyes.
tiene el pelo negro. She has black hair y los ojos marrones and brown
Brown
eyes.
eyes.
Okay. And for there, I use tiene because she is not just a pair of eyes. Her whole body is not just a pair of eyes. She has, you have eye color, you have hair color. Tiene el pelo negro. She has black hair. And notice they say hair black. Tiene el pelo. She has the hair black. That's the word order they use. Y los ojos marrones and eyes brown. That's the word order they use. It's just the way it is. Okay, see? Now I'm going to talk where she's from. Ser is also, besides an ID tag, it also talks about where you're originally from, what your nationality is. Es de Estados Unidos. Es de, she's from. The de is the from part. Es de Estados Unidos. See? Es de Estados Unidos. Where you were born cannot change. I mean, it's where you're from. It's never going to change. So we use ser for that, not estar, right? Now to talk about where she is right now. Not where she's from originally, where she's
Mhm.
located, right? I switched to estar. Está and here's our en, ding, 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 en. Está en Texas, practicando. She's in Texas
Practicing.
practicing. Está en Texas, practicando. Location, estar. Está en Texas, practicando. And now I'm going to switch to an oddball thing. This is one of the odd things that tener is used for to talk about how many years you have.
Tiene
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 24 años. Tiene 24 años.
24
She's
años.
24. See? Tiene, okay? And here's another tener idiom, an expression that just uses tener. They don't say you are careful, they say you have care. Yeah, just the way they express that. Tiene cuidado, she's careful. Tiene cuidado cuando ella practica. She is careful when she does practice.
practice.
Tiene cuidado. Tiene cuidado. She is careful. Bien, see? So this is a little description that combines many different verbs where sometimes in English we're just going to say she is, she is, she is. Yeah. Bien. Okay. Vale. So if that still feels uncomfortable, congratulations, you're a human being. That's just the way it is. You'll need to see lots of examples of that. And that little example, I'm going to plug into the end of the example with Simone Biles. I'm going to plug into the end of your little verb cheat sheet that combines all those verbs. Sí. Bien. Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any kind of question before we move on? ¿Alguna pregunta? Because I want to make sure I give us a big bucket of time, a big chunk of time for our numbers. Numbers are a big, big deal. And I'm going to send you this whole thing. You had a video on numbers. A lot of these numbers are kind of based on Latin type words. And sometimes we have something, anytime you can associate an English word you know with a number that might help you remember that number, yay, go ahead and do that, like, well, we'll get to that in a bit. Here's a bit of, we're going to do, vamos a practicar, we're going to do some practice. Vamos a practicar, okay? Los números en español. Voy a engrandecer. I'm going to try to make this bigger. Mejor, better, mejor. And you'll get this whole list here. So don't worry about, don't furiously copy things down. Numbers are super important. Los números en español. Numbers in Spanish. ¿Por qué son ¿Por qué? Why? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué son importantes? ¿Por qué son importantes? Why are they important? Okay. You may need to talk about them, but really clearly, we're going to focus on the 1 through 20 right now, probably up to 30. Why do you need to know numbers? Numbers are a survival thing because you'll hear it whenever people are talking about transportation, like the number of a bus route you need, an address, asking for directions. They're going to tell you how many with a number, blocks to walk. We need it for phone numbers. We need it for expressing amounts of things you want to buy. I need to buy. I need to get 5 apples, whatever. Prices. Here's the real thing. Yeah. You'll hear it a lot with prices when you ask to buy stuff. So numbers are a survival skill. Okay. And we'll probably take it up to 30 for sure today. But why, what do I need to know about numbers? Your most important thing with numbers is comprehension when you hear it. Okay. The number one skill, the first thing that will click and wire into your brain is hearing a number and recognizing that number. Okay. Understanding the number somebody says to you, and it, like if I say 5, your brain is automatically not going to think of FIVE in English. Your number is going to think about an image of how many that is. Yeah. So, connecting the word 5 with cinco, 5, with that digit. Your goal should be that digit of 5 pops into your brain when you hear the word cinco. Yeah. So an image of that digit or number should pop into your head when you hear the word cinco. That is your biggest goal right now, listening comprehension. Speaking, saying a number to someone to express what you want or what you need, that's secondary, but okay, yes, it's important. Writing is only a reference. Writing the number down, you don't nearly need, you need it to like sound it out. So writing is only a reference for sounding out what that word sounds like, so you can pronounce it. That's the only functional thing that's important for writing, okay? Because if somebody is writing down a bunch of numbers, they're not going to write them down as words. Nobody's ever going to do that. Okay, so vamos a practicar aquí. Tenemos los números 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Cero.
You want to get to the point where when you hear somebody say 0, that digit of the big donut hole pops in your head. Uno,
Uno.
which may go into a feminine form, maybe una,
Una.
and it may
Uno.
even shorten to un.
Mm.
One or a thing, that's it. But uno for the number. Dos,
Dos.
Dos.
right? Tres,
Tres.
Tres.
tres. Okay. Vale.
Tres.
Cuatro,
Cuatro.
Cuatro.
cuatro bolsas, 4 bags. Cuatro bolsas, 4 bolsas.
Cuatro bolsas.
Okay. And this is important because there are a lot of words that will sound like cuatro, but they're different words. So there's a word cuarto, which means like a room in a hotel or a room in a house. Cuarto, with the R leading off, but the quat with the T leading off is the forward. Cuatro,
Cuatro.
cuatro, cuatro, right? Think
Cuatro.
of quartet, yeah, but cuatro with a T. Cinco,
Cinco.
Cinco.
cinco manzanas.
Manzanas.
Cinco manzanas.
Cinco manzanas, ¿sí? ¿Ok? Seis,
Seis.
seis adornos.
Seis adornos.
Siete,
Siete.
siete pájaros.
Pájaros.
Siete pájaros. Seven birds. Seven swans are swimming. Sí, as the old song goes. Okay. Ocho.
Ocho.
Ocho lápices.
Ocho
Ocho
lápices.
Ocho lápices. Ocho. Eight. Ocho. Like octopus. Yeah, we have octopus. Eight-legged animal. Yeah, octopus. Okay, ocho. Nueve.
Nueve.
Bruce.
Nueve. Muy importante, very important. This word nueve sounds a whole lot like another word, but there's only one letter difference. There's also a word, nuevo. Nuevo.
Nuevo.
Nuevo is not equivalent to nueve. Nuevo with an O at the end means new. Yeah? New, something that you never had before. Nuevo. But nueve, ending in an nueve is the number. Nueve. Okay? And then diez. Diez centavos, 10 cents. 10 centavos. Okay. This 1 through 10 is key because all the higher numbers will use these as building blocks. So the 1 through 10, you keep reusing when you get to words like 29, 60, 68. Yeah? That 1 through 10 gets reused in the higher numbers. Okay, it gets tagged on to the end with the higher numbers. Let's work with just some base. Let's work with some phone numbers. Yeah. The Campus Commons. Who we see? I'm going to say just the phone numbers. All the digits is single numbers. Okay. 9, 2, 5, 6, 9, 1, 1. Bien? See? Okay. I want somebody to try the security systems one, the one right in the middle, in el medio. Who wants to try just the phone number? Okay, para.
9884357.
Perfecto. Sí, bien, muy bien, muy bien. A ver. Sí. A ver. Italian. Let's look at the pizza one, the Italian restaurant one. ¿Quién? Shaban.
Could you move your cursor for me, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. 3390775.
Perfecto, bien. Okay. Oh, the fence guy. ¿Cuál es el número de teléfono? What's the phone number? ¿Cuál es el número de teléfono? Aquí, ¿quién? Who wants to give it this one a go? Somebody.
I'll do it.
Okay.
948-6991.
Muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. Fantástico. Sí. Pandemonium. Who wants to give that one a try? ¿Quién? ¿A quién le toca?
Me.
Somebody give it a Janice, give it a try. See?
Wow.
The pandemonium.
Sí.
6, 3, 2, 9, 5, 2, 5.
Perfecto. Muy bien. And I skipped the liquor thing because there's too many sietes. 5273777, guy. Qué aburrido. How boring. Okay, let's try some more phone numbers. Body shop. Andrew, give it a go.
9, 4, 3, 2, 8,
Let's go back to the 7 word. The 7 word is going to sound like
siete,
siete. 778. Sí,
Ocho.
77.
I
Think, yeah. See, septuagenarian. Somebody who's 70, there's a 7 in there. Yeah, septuagenarian. We borrow from an old Latin word. Siete, siete, siete. 778. Bien, bien, bien. Perfecto. Bueno, aquí. A ver, a ver. Let's see, let's see. A ver. Hoss hogs. Hoss hogs. Hogs. Who wants to give it a try? ¿Quién? Bueno, sí, pick.
Hi. The hot dog. Okay.
Hoss hogs, sí.
Hot sauce. Okay. 5, 4, 1, 8, 3, 2, 8.
Bien, bien, muy bien, very well, muy bien, muy bien.
Yes.
Fantástico. Aquí, bueno, a ver, aquí, electric, custom electric. ¿Quién? Who'd like to give that a go?
I'll do it.
Okay, vale.
5, 8, 7, 7, 7, 3, 4.
Bien, bien hecho. Ok, vale, sí. Y aquí sí. El dentista. 956 6116. Bien, sí. Ok. A ver. So, some little phone number stuff, and you'll get this whole slide here. Okay. We're going to split these in some segments. The 0 through 10, you can often relate some of these words to some words you know in English, right? Like dos, our idea of dual, like dual screens. Yeah, anything that's dual, that English word comes from the dos that you hear, right? A tricycle, yeah, tres, 3 wheels. Okay. Okay, once you get beyond the 10, we're going to segment that into a separate section. The 11 through 15 numbers change a little bit from the 1 through 3. There's kind of a base for them in many cases, not 100%, but some. Kind of like we have an English teen idea, anything in the teens. But then when you get to the teens that are 16 through 20, they're going to sound like math problems. Yeah. It becomes like a 10 and 6, 10 and 7. It becomes like that. So, okay. Aquí. So we get single letter words. See? Once.
11.
Once.
11 is kind of based on uno. It gets an N. Well, yeah, that's kind of a stretch. But anyway, 11.
11.
11 plumas. 11 plumas. See?
11 plumas.
11 plumas. 12, a dozen. We take the word dos and we add an E on the end. 12.
12.
12. Not dos, but 12.
12.
12. 12. 12 galletas. See? Okay. We got 13. We take the word tres, 3. We put an E on the end of tres. 13.
13.
13 pelotas. 3 balls. 13. Sorry. 13. 13 pelotas. 13 pelotas. Okay, vale. 13 pelotas. Okay. Here comes kind of what my teenage students used to call the long word. Yeah. It looks a little bit like cuatro, but there's a lot of things switched around there. Yeah. 14.
14.
14. 14. 14 bombones. 14 caramelos. Those are 2 words for candies. 14 bombones.
Bombones.
14 caramelos. Bien?
Caramelos.
Okay. A ver. And here we get a word. It doesn't look like cinco at all. But this goes back to a thing from Latin. The QUI always has like a 5 element in it. Okay. So we get not cinco, but we switch it to quince.
15.
15, 15. Quince. Quince. Okay. Quince. Okay. So we go from once, 12, 13, 14,
14.
15.
15.
That's our next block. These are the initial teen kind of numbers, yeah? And bien. Okay, now we get into the next block up to 20, and they sound like kind of math problems, yeah? We get 10 and 6, literally 10 and 6. The word for and is E. So we get diez y seis. And you notice it gets smashed instead of diez, diez, it gets smashed into a shorter form when we combine these. Diez y seis.
16.
Sometimes, yeah, diez y seis.
17.
Sometimes diez y seis is correct to use it as three separate words, diez y seis. But most people say it fast, and this is also an acceptable spelling. Usually, this is the way you'll really hear it. 16. 16. Bien. And here's our 17 word. 17.
17.
17. 10 and 7, literally. Here's our 10 and 8. 18.
18.
18. 18. Here's our 10 and 9. 19.
19.
19. 19, and we have to smile at the end. 19, yeah? 19. 19. Then we get to a different word, and it's like, think of the vein in your arms, yeah? It sounds like that vein word. 20.
20.
20.
20.
20. $20. $20. $20. $20. $20. $20. 20. Now, 20 and up just becomes 20 and
1.
adding on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words. Okay? So when I move up from 20, here's how they will look. 21, 22, 20 and 2. Literally, we're adding them on. See? 23.
23.
Yeah. 24.
24.
25.
25.
26.
26.
27.
27.
28.
28.
29.
29.
So notice what happens. 20 ends in a smile, 20. But when I bump it up a number, I get rid of that e at the end and it just smushes into the word and. 20.
Marilyn,
20.
when you say 20, you're saying it like it's a B.
I am, because
Okay.
that's what happens. B and V make exactly the same sound. 20.
Okay.
Never 20. Always 20. Sí.
20. Thank you.
And if you forgot that little detail, don't worry about it. It comes to you as you hear more. It'll also like, oh, that sounds like a B. Yes. Sí. Es así. It's that way. Sí. 20. 20. 20. Sí. Bien. Okay. We're going to take a look at the next set of 10 up. That's what we're going to spend the rest of our time doing. We're going to kind of just introduce these, and you're going to get a lot of practice for this for the coming week because numbers is going to be really our big focus for the week. Okay. So we're going to introduce this next set, which is the 30 set. 30.
30.
30. And notice it sounds a little like tres, but we're adding stuff on the end. Okay. 30. 30. All the 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, where we have T in English, they're going to have an enta kind of thing going on at the end. It's like the equivalent to the TY in English for 4T, 5T, 6T, 7T. It'll be like that. It's just their form of that. 30. And for this, actually, it becomes not one big globbed on word, but three separate words. 31.
31.
31.
Treinta
Now, for right now, for where you guys are, keeping it as three separate words is fine. 31. But please do know the most important thing is listening comprehension. And when somebody says a number at you, it will not sound that slow. So sadly, what it is going to sound like is this. 31. 31. It's all going to slide together in one great big spit wad. It will. That's what it sounds like. 31. Because this A is going to slide into this E is going to slide into this U. 31. 31. And you'll think, holy blankety blank, what the heck happened there? 31. It'll all slide together. Okay. Even when you ask them to slow it down, you'll say, thanks a lot. That didn't help. But to them, it'll sound like they're going really slow. 31 for them is like, I did say it slow. What do you mean? Too fast. Yeah. 31. Okay. 32. I'll slow it down for today. 33.
33.
34.
34.
35.
35.
33.
36.
37.
37.
38.
38.
39.
39.
Okay. Okay. So we reuse the 1 through 9 words when we use the next step up. Bien? See? Okay. Let's take a look at the next chunk. The next chunk, and you're going to get a separate video so that you hear lots of examples over and over. Because numbers are truly survival when you want to know how much stuff costs. You know, you're getting a ticket, you're buying a souvenir. It's just numbers are survival skill set that you got to have. And you got to be able to hear the number and the digit pops into your head. Hear the number, the digit, not the words, pop into your head. Okay. And furthermore, they're not going to go in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? It'll be 7, 4, 5, 9, right? It's going to be out of order. So, and that is a big step, recognizing the numbers out of order. So we're going to preview our T words, and then I'm going to tell you what our challenge is going to be for the coming week. Okay, here are our T words, 4T, 5T, 6T, right? And this one's going to look a little bit like cuatro, 40.
40.
40.
40.
Yeah, 40. This one is going to sound a lot like cinco, but 50.
50.
50.
50.
Okay. And this one is going to sound like seis, but the I goes missing. 60.
60.
60. Yeah, 60. That I in the middle of seis goes missing. 60. And the I is going to go missing again for the 7T word. 60. 60. Or 70, perdón, 70. 70. Notice the only difference between 60 and 70 is one letter. These are easy to confuse. Yeah, you got to listen really close. 60 versus 70.
70.
Sí, 70. Okay, here's our next one. 80.
80.
80.
Sounds like ocho. Nobody ever gets 80 wrong. Yay! You'll never get this wrong because nobody does. 80, 80, 80. Here comes, this is a lot like nueve, but instead of N-U-E, nue, it becomes an O. It shortens down. 90,
90.
90.
90,
90.
90, 90, 90. Okay, para que sepan, so you know. The word 100, when it's an even hundred, and only then, is a shorty word, 100.
100.
100. 100 means 100, even. If you go up even one, it becomes a longer word. So 101 is not 101, it's 101. We have to go to a longer form of 100 when it's above the even 100 mark. Ciento. 101, 102, 103, 104. Okay, bien. Okay, bien. So I'm going to give you a video that will talk about words all up through 100. It'll give you lots of listening because you need to hear that practice over and over and over again. And I want you to super, super, super focus on these numbers because we're going to go back and use numbers and use them out of order. And I will give you a little dictado, a little dictation. Next week, when you come back, you need a scrap piece of paper that you don't particularly care about. It can be the back of your grocery receipt, anything, and something to write with. And I'll give you just some little numbers because what you need for survival is that when you hear the when you hear the number 55, 55, you need to have the number 55 pop into your head. So I'm not going to ask you to write out the words for numbers. That's kind of pointless. But I will say a number and see if the digit pops into your head and you'll write it down. Comprenden? Understand? It's the dictation. Because people who say prices to you, you got to understand, oh, how much does that cost? Right? So that's the survival skill. I am also going to give you some it's going to look like written practice, and it kind of is, but I don't really care that you write it down. I care that you do some practice with numbers out of sequence to see if you know these numbers. Yeah. So don't feel you must write these down, but it gives you a cheat cheat sheet, yeah, at the top. And then it'll like give you some numbers out of sequence. So see if you can quiz yourself and, oh, how do I say 26? How do I say 29? How do I say 37? Can you do that? Yeah. To kind of test yourself. And more speaking than really writing it down. I don't care that you write it down. You're going to get a second practice sheet I'll give you that does the same thing, but for the 40 through 90 numbers up to 100. Yeah. And the same thing, quiz yourself. Do you know what 92 should sound like, right? They give you the one example, 47. Remember with these, we recycle the 1 through 9s, right? We tag it on with an E, and then we tag on that last number. See? Yeah. So these are for you to practice speaking, really, not to write out the word. Nobody is going to ask you to write out the number as a word. That's never going to happen in real life. See? So you're going to get those. You're going to get numbers using that. And you're going to get, you're going to get an extra video that's going to fold in the concept of I with numbers. Because I is used to talk about what exists, right? And if all you want to say is there are 8 donuts in the box, right? You need I because you just say they exist. There they are. Yeah. So the video is going to fold numbers into using I to say how many things are there. So you'll see how we incorporate that verb I to use it with numbers. See? Todo bien? All good? I'm going to give you a couple extra pages that you'll see in here, but I want you to really focus on the numbers because it's a super important survival skill. Super important. And we want to make sure that you drill that into your head a lot. And next week, I hope to practice numbers some more. And, also we'll take a little break from the numbers and talk a little bit about gender, why that happens. Okay. And it'll be the very problematic, because English doesn't do it much, idea that things we talk about and descriptive words that describe those things all have to be in the same kind of gender form and singular or plural form. Okay. And I'm going to leave you with this thought because it's kind of a mind blower. In English, we say, uh, oh, there are, there is a white car, or, no, wait, a better example. There are two white cars. Hay dos carros blancos. There are two cars whites. The word whites actually has to go into a plural and a masculine word. Shoot, English doesn't do that. Why do they do that? Because they do. It's one of the mysteries. It's one of the rewiring your brain kind of ideas. Yeah. And actually, the cars are red becomes those cars are reds. Those, even the word for the becomes a plural word. Shoot. Who knew you had to deal with all that stuff, right? But yeah, it's a conceptual thing that manifests in the kinds of words that have to work together to talk about things. Yeah. So ponder that, let your mind explode a little bit. But really work your numbers hard this week. Todo bien? All good?
Bien.
Todo bien?
Are you going to ask us questions about our family next week?
Sí, perdón. Yes, I will. Perdón. Sorry. Well, you know what? Well, Siobhan, gracias. Thank you for saying that. We will start off with your family. Talk about how many people in your family, who they are, a little bit. We'll start that as our warm-up. Bien?
Gracias.
Vale. Gracias, Siobhan. Keep me on track. Keep my feet to the fire. Okay. Bien? Todo bien?
Todo bien.
Y nos vemos.
Hasta luego.
See, bien? Any questions you have, ask it. And you're going to start out next week talking about your family members, just little stuff, easy stuff. I'll start out with my examples next week, and then you're going to take off with your examples. ¿Sí? ¿Todo bien?
Todo bien.
Bueno, nos vemos. Ok, vale. Sí.
Adiós.
Que tengan buena semana. Have a good week.
Gracias.
Yeah, they do.
Espero que tengan muy buena semana. ¿Y dónde está mi botón? Ah,